Thank you, everyone. Please take your seat. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening for those who are joining online from a different part of the world. My name is Ayako Mizuno. I am the program manager at the Regional Knowledge Center for Marine Plastic Debris of AREA, and I will be the MC of today's event. Welcome again. We are very excited to officially launch today's event, which is the phase 2 of our AREA and IGES project to reduce plastic waste, especially single-use plastic in ASEAN region. And this is the phase 2 called Breaking the Plastic Habit. As part of the housekeeping, I would like to run through today's program very quickly. So firstly, we will welcome and present to you the recap of yesterday's and the day before yesterday's capacity building workshops outcome that we sort of organized back to this event. And after that, we will be extending to you a warm welcome from AREA officially. Then we will have the pleasure to have the representative of the government of Indonesia from the Ministry of Environment and Forestry to deliver the keynote speech. After that, we will present to you the 6th pilot project taking place in Cambodia, Indonesia, Laos PDR, the Philippines, Thailand, and Vietnam. At the end of the program, we will have the pleasure of welcoming 4 key experts in the field of behavioral change alongside the Q&A. And I would like to also remind everyone attending in person that we will have a coffee break next door. So after the event, please join along and continue the conversation with the speakers. So without further delay, I would like to call for the first speaker, Dr. Atsushi Watabe from IGES, for reporting to us for the workshop that took place yesterday and the day before yesterday. Dr. Watabe.
Thank you very much for your kind introduction, Ayako-san. As she mentioned, we've launched the second phase of our project to reduce plastic waste using behavioral insights. Our partners in 6 ASEAN countries will develop and implement local strategies to decrease plastic and disposable product consumption. On the previous 2 days, representatives from these 6 countries participated in a workshop focused on understanding and applying behavioral-centered design. The workshop was facilitated by the RARE Center for Behavior and Environment, a research institute specializing in using behavioral-centered design to address environmental challenges. The first step in using behavioral insight is to define the problem and empathize with the target audience. This involves identifying the specific issue, targeting a behavior, and understanding the factors influencing current behaviors. We then formulate hypotheses, brainstorm solutions, and create prototypes. These prototypes are implemented and refined based on feedback. For example, participants might design a more user-friendly recycling bin and gather input on its effectiveness. While many organizations nowadays appreciate behavioral change, their focus is mostly on the change part of the behavior change. However, during the 2 days, we learned that behavioral insights should be based on the insights part, which involves a process of gaining deeper understanding into the broader systems that influence the behavior. This deep understanding enables us to develop effective and sustainable solutions. Participants have gained the skills to design, implement, and improve impactful projects through the collaboration among the 6 teams and formed a community of practitioners. This is quite important because even well-planned initiatives may face challenges. Sharing experiences and learning from others is crucial. So the community of practice we built during the workshop will support ongoing learning and improvement throughout the process of the 1-year project they are going to start from now. The 6 teams will embark on advanced initiatives in Thailand, Philippines, Cambodia, Laos, Vietnam, and Indonesia. We remain committed to providing ongoing support to ensure the successful implementation of these projects and to facilitate the sharing of knowledge and best practices across the region. I hope you all enjoy today's workshop and join our journey ahead toward combating the challenges of plastic and disposable products in the region. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Dr. Watabe. And I was also popping in and out the workshop. It was very engaging, and I think we would like to thank the RARE Center's colleagues for the engaging training session yesterday and the day before yesterday. Now I would like to welcome Mr. Reo Kawamura, the Director of the Regional Knowledge Center for Marine Plastic Debris of AREA, for an official welcome. Thank you.
Selamat pagi, good morning, distinguished guests, colleagues, and partners. It's my great honor to welcome you to the official launch of the Phase 2 of the Breaking the Plastic Habit in ASEAN project. Today marks an important step in our collaborative efforts to combat plastic pollution across the region. Before we begin, I'd like to recognize our esteemed participants who are here today. Ms. Rosa Vivian Latwanadi from the Ministry of the Environment and Forestry of Indonesia, who is joining online, and Dr. Arisman from the Center for the Southeast Asia Studies, Ms. Kwamana Nitabong from Chulalongkorn University, Ms. Lakmi Purwandari from the ASEAN Working Group on Environmental Education, Ms. Brida Lee Diola from the University of the Philippines, Diliman, Ms. Noriza Tibon Sadi from the University of the Philippines, Diliman, Mr. Pierre Claremont Wall from NOPA Design, Mr. Ross Bandos from the Ministry of the Environment, Mr. Fayakon Sakuntava from Econox Laos, Ms. Rizka Hassan from GIZ, Indonesia and ASEAN, Ms. Xian Li from RARE, and Ms. Meg Seranira from RARE. I'd like to extend a warm welcome to all of our online participants joining us from across ASEAN region and beyond. I'm pleased to welcome you to this event and appreciate your interest in this project. Phase 2 of the Breaking the Plastic Habit project, I hope will further propel our efforts in addressing plastic pollution, one of the region's most pressing environmental challenges. Phase 1 of this project successfully proved that behavioral insights interventions are effective for reducing single-use plastic consumption. With the local partners, we conducted 4 pilot projects in Indonesia, the Philippines, Thailand, and Vietnam. In those pilot projects, behavioral insight interventions such as social influence, emotional appeals, and the choice architecture have succeeded in shifting individual and collective behavior, which led to significant reduction of single-use plastic use or waste. While traditional approaches often do not reach the root causes of the plastic consumption, behavioral insights target the underlying psychological and social factors that influence how individuals and communities use plastics. Therefore, the behavioral insights interventions can function as a complementary to traditional approach instruments like regulations and economic incentives. I'd like to note, however, all of the piloted interventions do not have the same impact. Some worked well to reduce single-use plastics, but others did not reduce consumption as expected. In addition, the establishment of monitoring methods of effectiveness and cooperative relationships among the project participants is also the key to success. AREA, IGS, and partner organizations have learned a lot about how the behavioral insight interventions can be put in practice. The Behavioral Insight Toolkit, which was published in March 2024, is the outcome of our lessons learned in Phase 1 and laid a strong foundation for Phase 2, which are launching today. Phase 2 expands the coverage of this project to 6 ASEAN countries like Cambodia, Indonesia, Laos PDR, the Philippines, Thailand, and Vietnam. We posted the call for project this August, then received more than 100 proposals from all ASEAN countries. That underscores the level of interest and the importance of this project. These diverse projects offer valuable insights into effective strategies for applying behavioral insights to reduce single-use plastic waste, with data collected informing future policies and scaling successful interventions. Among the many fascinating proposals, we have just selected the 6 ones, which will be explained later in detail. It to be noted that Phase 2 project ambition is not limited to expanding the scope of geographical area and stakeholders involved. It aims to broaden its scope by developing practical tools and knowledge for behavior-centered approaches in real-world context. Key deliverables include case studies to equip policymakers, businesses, and civil society with skills to implement behavior-focused projects, as well as a new framework to measure the effectiveness of nudge interventions across the region. It also aims to propose an assessment tool to measure behavioral change project impact, specifically developed to fit the context of the ASEAN region. This is a big technical challenge, but a worthy cause for us to explore. Before decision making whether we try the nudge interventions or not, we need to know if there's a way to measure the degree of success. Before we conclude, I'd like to express my sincere gratitude to IDES, the Institute for Global Environmental Studies, for their continued partnership in this project. I also extend my appreciation to our great speakers, distinguished partners, and everyone who has joined us today, both in person and online. Your commitment is vital because we work together to break the plastic habit in Southeast Asia. This launch is more than just the beginning of the Phase 2. It's a call to action for each of us to collaborate, learn, and take meaningful steps toward reducing plastic waste in our region. Let us continue to build on the progress we have made and drive real, lasting change that benefits both our commitments. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kawamura-san, for the official welcome remark. Now we would like to turn to the Zoom intervention to see if we're connected with Ms. Rosa Vivian Ratnawati from the Ministry of Environment and Forestry of Indonesia. Yes, Ms. Rosa, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Can you hear my voice? Yes, I think. Thank you. Excellency Dr. Atsushi Watabe from IJES, Mr. Reo Kawamura from AREA, dear guests and participants, very good morning. On behalf of Vice Minister of Environment and Forestry, Mr. Aludo Hong, I would like to thank you for the invitation joining this important launching event, Breaking the Plastic Habit in ASEAN Countries. It is my honor to be here gathering with you all. I do hope you all are in well condition and good health in very happiness. I'm happy since waste issues, especially plastic waste, are becoming global concern. Government, academia, business, and civil society have put waste problem as a priority issues. I'm the person who responsible for national solid waste management in Indonesia, feeling so delighted to have more friends and colleagues to overcome waste challenges. I do believe that the breaking of plastic habit, a behavioral changes action as part of civil society movement could help the government to combat plastic waste challenges here in Indonesia and ASEAN countries in general. Civil society movement on behavior change is the power that we could not be ignored. Waste that I refer to garbage is leftover from our daily lives, from individual, household, neighborhood, city to country. Each person as a producer of waste. So by our law, everyone should be responsible for waste that he or she produces by managing it properly. How to manage our waste properly and sustainably? Practicing the 3 R's principle: reduce, reuse, and recycle. The 3 R's, some people use 5 R's or even 7 R's, is basic principle to implement environmentally friendly and sustainable waste management that alter unecological and unsustainable waste management that is collect, transfer, and dump. This 3 R's principle is main spirit of our solid waste management law number 18, 2008. By practicing 3 R's, we can reduce negative impact our waste to environment and human health by avoiding waste generation in daily lives and circulating our waste using reuse and recycle methods. At the same time, we can use and utilize our virgin resource efficiently. Ladies and gentlemen, in the philosophy of sustainable solid waste management, no waste or avoid to waste poses at the highest hierarchy of kindness, since it doesn't generate impact to environment and human health, and it based on the highest knowledge, consciousness, and commitment. In this case, we already put that philosophy into our policy and practice in form of gerakan gaya hidup minim sampah or less waste lifestyle movement. As the power that cannot be ignored, the breaking plastic habit could spread out and materialize less waste lifestyle movement at the community level by implementing the new way. For example, take appropriate meal and do not waste your food. Buy what you need, not you wish. Bring your own reusable bag. Refuse plastic bag. Drink your beverage without plastic straw. Refuse it. Bring your own tumbler. Bring your own reusable cutlery sets. Bring your own handkerchief. Refuse tissue. Bring your own reusable meal box. Refuse styrofoam container. If we still produce waste, the next step for breaking the plastic habit is to sort our waste as our daily habit. Waste separation is a key success to further manage our waste properly, since segregated and clean waste is easy to compose, reuse, and recycle. Ladies and gentlemen, I do believe that behavioral change is a challenging issue in our society, since it involves many aspects to deal with, including technical, social, economic, and psychological issues. So, to break the human habit, it needs an integrated and interdisciplinary approach. In this regard, behavioral insights could be a tool and method that can be used to break the habit. Lastly, I would like to appreciate IJES and AREA for this amazing effort adopting the behavioral insights in ASEAN countries, including Indonesia. I do hope that the successful of the project could be replicated and scale up at nationwide here in Indonesia. Thank you. Terima kasih.
Thank you for your patience, everyone. Selamat pagi dan selamat datang. So good morning and welcome, everyone. So since we might not have that much time left, I'll just go through this quickly. So we talked about behavioral insights. And this whole project is called the Breaking the Plastic Habit in ASEAN countries, right? So why do we talk about breaking the plastic habit? I think we've all already discussed it, but plastic is actually everywhere, and it's our habit to use it because it's so convenient. You can dispose of it very quickly if you have a waste management system. So it's really difficult to change people's habits around this. So the plastic pollution, even if we're aware that plastic is everywhere in our seas, in our soils, in our bodies, it's much harder to get away from it. So we might even say that plastic pollution is more of a behavioral issue than a material one. So how do we change people's habits? So what we saw in the workshop, next slide, please, was that there are traditional levers. Next slide, please, to change people's behaviors. So we have the material incentives, the information, and rules and regulation. But these levers that are very traditional policy tools might not always be effective for long-term behavioral change, and they might have some rebound effects we've seen earlier. So, for example, you can implement a charge on, for example, plastic bags, and this might actually be seen as a cost. That's okay, thank you. And people might just use this as they might see it as just a simple cost for them to continue using plastic, and it actually alleviates the sort of guilt that they might feel otherwise. So we've seen some of the limits of those traditional intervention levers. And so this is where behavioral insights come in. So these are new intervention levers that were designed and sort of framed by RARE. So we have social influences, emotional appeals, and choice architecture. So what are those exactly? So very briefly, choice architecture is about changing the default, changing the environment, the infrastructure to make it easy for anyone to adopt the desirable behavior. So for example, if you remove the plastic straw, as you'll see in some of the cases, if bars and restaurants just provide the drink without the plastic straw, you might even not notice. You might just adapt to the desirable behavior without even noticing it. So that's choice architecture. Social influences, very straightforward. It's just about making sure that not using as much plastic is the social norm. But also you can say that if you make a public commitment to using less plastic, you might be actually held more accountable to this. There's the social pressure for you to really abide by your resolution. And emotional appeals, this is actually much more powerful than information alone. Information just triggers, it just addresses the rational aspect, but human beings are not always rational. So if you show that the new behavior is actually more fun and that it actually addresses something that people deeply care about, then people might just adopt this behavior much more naturally. So these are the intervention levers that we've studied over the workshop. And so this is the framework that was designed by RARE. And all of our project partners in phase 1 and in phase 2, they have designed interventions to reduce the plastic consumption in their countries, in their target location, by using a combination of those levers. So yes, this was about what we did in phase 1 and phase 2, and we've actually combined the lessons of phase 1 in a report, in a guidance note that you can read. It's available online for free on our website, so please have a look. And here we're actually detailing all the steps that you can follow to develop those interventions applying behavioral insights. So now let's move on to our phase 2. partners. So we have, as you can see, some new players, so businesses and government offices that have joined our previous phase 1 partners that were mostly focusing on target locations in universities and schools. And we also have 2 new countries. So we have Cambodia and Laos PDR on top of Indonesia, the Philippines, Thailand, and Vietnam. Yes. So let's hear from them. So I would like to first hear from our first phase 1 project partners. So I would love for you to explain very briefly what your planned intervention is for this phase 2, what the target location is, the target audience is, and what sort of behavioral levers you'll be using in your planned intervention. So please, Dr. Arisman from Center for Southeast Asian Studies, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Alice. Okay, maybe I can sit here, more easier. Actually, for the second phase, our pilot project, we targeted reducing the plastic consumption, specifically plastic straw and plastic bag. In the location is in the school, one of the boarding school in Jakarta. The target group is, of course, the school student, teachers, and of course also the families or parents of the student. In this second phase, the project tried to combine all the behavior change levers, like mentioned by Alice, 6 levers, but mostly we focus on the choice architecture. The simplest thing is how to not placing the plastic straw in the visible area in the school canteen. And then rules and regulation, we also use this intervention. And the third one is emotional appeals, which is provide, like we know that social media is very effective to change people behavior. And we hope that this intervention can changing the student behavior, expected also to changing their stakeholders, including their families. I think that's all.
And you were one of our phase 1 partners,
okay.
And I would love to hear what sort of lessons you've learned in phase 1 and how you've integrated those in the second phase intervention that you've designed.
Okay, for the first phase, we try our pilot project at the university level, which is at the University of Indonesia in Depok. And then based on that experience, we think that what we can learn from the phase 1, the collaboration among the stakeholders is important, especially the commitment from the top management, like university management, school management. And then also in this second phase, we include one more plastic, is a plastic bag we measure by before the intervention and after the intervention. And I think based on the experience also with the University of Indonesia, we would like to have more interactive awareness strategic program, and also how to make the exit strategy after the program. They still continue to do it, not only 6-month pilot intervention and then they not continue. This one of the most challenging part. I think that's all from my side. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Osman. Yes, these are great lessons. Next, we'll hear from Norisa Tibon Sadi from the Institute of Civil Engineering, University of the Philippines, Diliman. So please explain just a brief overview of your project intervention.
Yes, for our project, we will have a pilot project for sustainable vending in University of the Philippines, Diliman for our phase 2 project. And in this project, we aim to contribute to a more sustainable campus environment by applying behavioral insights in reducing plastic waste generation and mismanagement in the food sector of our campus. So our location, again, will be University of the Philippines Diliman campus with the target groups, including a previous non-ambulant partner vendor who is already practicing adapting waste reduction strategies and segregation. And also, we will add a multiple vendor commercial establishment for this year, where circular economy practices are not yet prevalent. And in our project, we also aim to apply the multiple levers of behavioral change. And this include choice architecture, wherein we will implement or maybe establish water refilling stations in key locations to encourage the customers to bring their own tumblers. And then we will also apply materials incentives combined with social influences, wherein we will implement a gamified bring your own container program to encourage the participation of the customers in bringing their own containers to the vendor locations. And next, we also will apply rules and regulations combined with choice architecture, wherein we will provide segregation bins in key locations, strategic locations around the campus, of course, in the vendor locations, while the UP Diliman Environmental Management Office will be the ones to collect and process the recyclables and compostable waste in our vendor locations. And additionally, we will create online and on-site campaign and series of workshops and seminars and postings with student organizations being involved in the phase 2 of the project, because we not only want to leverage on their impact, but we also want to foster a sense of ownership for this customers also, to reduce also their waste, their single-use plastic waste and mismanagement.
Yeah, this is great. So I think from the phase 1, we saw how students been actually involved in the creation of the information, and the information campaigns were so important for them to have that sense of belonging that you just talked about. Do you have any other sort of other lessons that you're reflecting in the second phase?
Yeah, throughout the implementation of our phase 1 project, we've identified several interventions that we think or that showed promising results, and basing our building on the results of the phase 1 of our project, in this phase 2, we will continue the dialogue and foster or strengthen collaborations and partnerships with the university administrations and the UP Diliman Environmental Management Office, the vendors, the consumers, customers, and the building administrators. And we will also expand the scope by adding locations, expanding the specific target groups, and as with our phase 1, we will continue to develop pre-implementation, monitoring, and assessment tools for the phase 2 of our project to capture essential information and insights. And finally, we will implement new strategies for the phase 2 of our project. And this includes the enhanced information education, communication campaigns, and a remodeled reward system.
Great, thank you. This is really exciting. Yeah. And next, we'd love to hear from Kwan Manat Mitavorn from Chulalongkorn University, a lecturer from Chulalongkorn University. So please give us a brief overview of your project, same as the others.
Okay, so hi everyone. I'm from Chula. This is my first time, but actually like Chula joined the first phase. And in the first phase, we focus on a single-use plastic bag in flea market in Chulalongkorn campus, and also the plastic bag in the market located in the land owned by Chulalongkorn. But for the second phase, we will do something like different, and you will hear like something like different from like our like other partners. In this year, we will focus on a plastic in textile that Chulalongkorn usually like basically consume it like every year in our like traditional sporting big event. Yeah, and I believe that like, everyone know like, and every sporting event you will have like the shirt, and normally the sporting shirt made from like polyester fiber, 100% polyester fiber, or 100% of plastic based fiber. We produce it every year. So the objective of this pilot project for this year is I would like to initiate a systematic change that can reduce the consumption of unsustainable clothing consumption, and also to encourage the sustainable waste management practice in young generation, young people. The location, of course, in Chulalongkorn University, and the target group is the people who decide to buy the shirt of traditional football. As you can see, like CU is Chulalongkorn University, And the TU is Thammasat University, is another famous university in Thailand. We have traditional football event like for like more than 70 years. And it has to be like continue. Yeah. But in this phase, we try to understand like firstly we try to understand the consumption behavior of clothes in special event like sporting event like CUTU, like traditional football. And we try to try to encourage like young people to reduce the consumption of like plastic based like shirt, plastic based clothes, and also would like them to know how to manage it, the manage like old clothes like sustainably through like 3 combination levers. As you can see on the screen, we will have like the information with emotional appeals, we will have the social influence and mature incentive, and also we will have the choice of architecture. What we have planned to do is we will try to provide them like the information of environmental impacts or benefits of consuming like sustainable, like how to say, like sustainable consumption of like of cloth kind of. And also like we try to encourage them to separate waste, you know, like for the garment mainly you have 2 type of fiber like polyester and natural fiber. Yeah, I tried to encourage them to separate like natural fiber and polyester fiber. Yeah, and we will like incentivize them by giving them like an discount offer. If you would like to buy a new shirt of CUTU traditional football shirt, we will give them a kind of offer if they can like separate waste. Yeah. And yeah, this is what we plan. And
Oh, yeah, I think this is really great because
Yeah.
usually what we view as single-use plastics are the food packaging, the beverage cups, and actually this is also kind of applies as a single-use
Yeah.
plastic because it's for a single event
Yeah.
that people are purchasing a plastic-made T-shirt, right?
Yeah.
So if you could just tell us a bit more about why you chose this new sector for Chulalongkorn University, who was in the first phase focusing more on the more traditional food and beverages industries and the single-use plastic that originate from it.
Yeah. Okay. But because like plastic in textile are not in focus, I would say. Yeah, it's very new. I think like it would be like very new for Chulalongkorn as well. And I think like if we can find that the behavior of people who buy the shirt, they use only once during the event, we can consider that shirt as a single-use plastic as well, right? Yeah. And for the game, I would say that like from the statistic, like last year, we have like 10,000 participants and we sold more than 50,000 shirts only from Chula side. Yeah, this is a very huge consumption. And I think that like if we can deal with this consumption, this could be making very like kind of impactful consequence to not only for Chulalongkorn University to reach like green university, but also as a prototype for other like specific event or sporting event in the future. Yeah, thank you.
New partners as well, yeah. So we'll first start with Ross Magnus from the Ministry of the Environment from Cambodia. So please give us the overview of your project.
First of all, I would like to, on behalf of the Ministry of Environment, thank you for hearing. I just to accept the proposal from Cambodia. My name is Ross Magnus, the head of Department of Environmental Education, Ministry of Environment, Cambodia. In general, it is believed that parents influence children. You think so? Because we are the parent, we have better knowledge, we have economies, and do you believe that students influence the pattern or not? So this is the question that I'm interested in, and I want to bring this this idea to be tested in my project. So my project is the title is intergenerational transmission of knowledge and experience of the student to the parents, and we focus on the promotion of tumbler usage, because what we want everyone at least to have one tumbler. So wherever you go, we want you to bring along the tumbler. For me, in my case, I have 2 tumblers. Every day I use them, one for water and the other one for coffee. So in the ambition, we want everyone to have at least 1 tumbler, because it will reduce the usage of a plastic bottle. So the project is I have 2 areas to implement the project. One is in Siem Reap province, the tourist area. Maybe the demographic variable, the characteristic of people may be better than the other area. It is a Tabong Khmung, quite rural area. So, and yes, for the target group under the project is students, and now we are still consider whether preschool student or primary school student, because the levels that I plan to use is information and emotion. And emotion, we plan to use this one. It is called Kamishibai. I think it's originally from Japan, and there are already studies by JICA to test this Kamishibai in Africa, but no study about Kamishibai in Cambodia. Yeah, this Kamishibai here you can read the link here. This is the DOI, the research article. What about Kamishibai in Africa? It is a storytelling. So we hold it and then we tell the story. But we need expert to tell the story. We need expert. We need gesture. We need sound to make people feel something. Feel emotional. About the story. So when they feel emotional, whether they do something or not. This is the question.
Great. And what sort of new insights on your approaches? I mean, you've already introduced us to the Kamishibai, which is a Japanese paper theater. What sort of new approaches will you be bringing to the rest of the project?
I read the article about this Kamishibai. The result, it's good for the student knowledge.
Yeah.
After they get this Kamishibai, the student learn something. But the gap is they don't learn about like a common property. In the article, the common property mean environment. I think environment is a common thing, right? Like a forest, like river. It doesn't belong to anyone. It belongs to all of us. But students just learn something from this just for themselves. For example, like hygiene. They better practice more hygienic.
Yeah.
But for common interest, not so much. So my interest is whether we use this plus information. It maybe the student will act more on the common thing or not.
Okay.
So this is academic gap, and the other thing is we test the parents of the student. The student, they direct beneficiary of the project, but the decision to buy tumbler for the student is parent. Parent, they have money, but student, kid, they don't have money. So we want, but they don't have tumbler. So we want the student to convince the parent at home to buy them the tumbler. What method we use to make the student come back home and convince the parent? I need a tumbler, parents, father, mother. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Because it good for environment, something like that.
Thank you.
Yeah,
thank you so much. Sorry, we have to go through with the next two project partners, but this is fascinating. And next we have Pai Akon Sakundava from Equinox Laupidua. So please briefly describe your project.
Okay. Morning, everyone. This is my first time in Jakarta. Yeah, and I have to briefly short about our projects. The project is Economic and plastic fill-out labels. Plastic fill-out label is we work is in the hospitality in Laos PDR. Like the location is in Laos PDR. The target group is the plastic fill-out members and another business in hospitality and entertainment festivals. But we plan to do this phase 2 is two things. The first one is the rent your cup that we have already. Is the rent your cup is rent the reusable cup for the hospitality and the festivals, and of course the incentive like refund, deposit, and discount when you have to rent the cup. And we provide attractive and the good quality. And of course, the cup to ensure the preserve the like a souvenir, because in the last time we have to one prototype before, but for this phase we have to develop the cup to more comfortable to use when we have and more function. We can use like to rent at a coffee shop, hotel, restaurant, and we can use it at the festival also. And another thing, we have to free water refill station at the same time at our member, yes, and the festival also, because we need to know behavior change if we have more option about a rental car and free refill water. But anyone can want to do this to make the behavior change. But the object a pilot aim to foster the culture of the reuse in a hospitality business, and reduce a single-use plastic like a plastic straw, plastic bag, and plastic packaging, and raise awareness about environmental impact for the plastic waste. The target behavior is for the rental cup. For the material incentive, we provide a deposit, refund, and cup discount. For the information, we did before is we have to short video for introduce about how to rent your cup, because for now we have 3 province that's with our member Vientiane capital, Vientiane district, and Luang Prabang. And this year we have one more member from Udom Sai province that we have to have more target group to do this. For the offline and online awareness campaign, we would add more information about highlight the environmental impacts about the plastic waste, and the emotional appeals, the cultural reason, and design reusable cup. We need to design like more trendy and people want to rent the cup and make something in the viral, like in social media, like TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, like that. Okay, I have this cup. You can rent, you can something like that. Yeah. And free refill station material, we provide free of charge. When you have your own cup, you can refill your water with our member and who join this pilot projects. And for the specific need problem, intervention and addressing is 2 things. The first is lacking curricular consumption, promote sustainability, packaging among a business and customer with reusable option. And a second thing is raising awareness, provide a PR material, the impact of plastic waste.
Very briefly, could you just tell us what sort of new approaches? I think this is really inspiring, so I'm sure you can inspire the other project partners as well. And what do you think will be most inspiring for them? What sort of new insights and approaches are you bringing to the rest of the project?
Okay, you can see the picture on the slide. There's belong the project. We try to join many events to test about the rental cup in our project. There's we add also is our member over there, Plastic Free Laos members, and Luang Prabang Film Festivals, even of the government, Green Market, and some music festival, and also International Coffee Festival. We always on that, but the inside of this project, as a new partner in phase 2, Econox and Plastic Free Labs Label checks to share inside approach from our sustainability incentive in Laos, including a key such as local expertise and networks, because Plastic Free Laos is a strong foundation to conduct pilot projects, study in the innovative potential stakeholder in the future, and the data trends and insight impact the data collection details, monitoring and data analysis, consumer behavior, and innovative solution that bring insight from the pilot project and develop a practical and afford solution. And the last thing for the sustainability, ensure the incentive being continue and sustain under Plastic Free Laos. The finding from phase 2 will play a key role in the supporting to continue and expansion of the future of force. Yes.
And last but not least, we have Pierre Ro from NOPA, Vietnam. Please tell us about your project intervention.
Of course. Well, first, little confession. I'm not from Vietnam, at least originally, in case you cannot tell. I have been living in Vietnam for about 4 years and a half. And I have a second confession, and that is that over these years, I developed a severe caffeine addiction, specifically for iced coffee. But I'm not the only one. Well, I don't want to point fingers, but essentially, many people in Vietnam consume a pretty strong quantity of coffee every year. And that kind of creates, especially takeaway, that has particularly picked up after COVID. And it has created this massive pollution problem, which amounts to the number that is up there, which is almost half of every plastic, of all the plastic found in landfill is coming from the food and beverage industry in Vietnam. And that's not even counting the ones that are escaping, the landfill and the whole waste management system. So with my co-founder, who's also more of a matcha addict, we also share another passion. We really believe that design can help, at least we can leverage design as a way to influence behavior. And so we set out to essentially trying to make reuse more playful, more exciting, and more of a lifestyle, so that it's something that is a sweet transition that we can make without, having to shame people into reusing or forbid single-use plastic altogether. And so this is how we created NOPA. In a nutshell, we created this beautiful bottle, reusable bottle, and it comes with a little bit of a special feature, which is that we work with food and beverage outlets in Ho Chi Minh City for now to incentivize reuse. So we have a product that customers can make in their own image, and then we have material incentives. So we're touching on some of the leverages that have been shared before of emotional appeal. That's making your own bottle custom. So for this, we have limited editions, we have stickers, and we have 64 different color combinations of this modular bottle. We also made it convenient for Southeast Asian consumers, so especially commutes that happen, on motorbikes. We made it easy to wash, easy to disassemble. Obviously, you know, we have a lot of we did do a lot of research on the concerns that customers have on their current reusable bottles. Everyone has them, right? Or have experience with them. And we added this aspect of rewards that is, you know, kind of how do we tip the scale? And it's not just a water bottle, but really a bottle that is used for cold drinks and takeaway. And one of the key proposals that we do for this particular pilot is to start tracking the reuse. And to do that, we essentially want to implement a little bit of technology at the bottom of this bottle with an NFC tag, so that we can, every time it's kind of a tap and go, when people do reuse, we're going to be able to know that they have and where they have. Aside from this, we focus, and maybe an important element to mention, we focus mostly on B2B, meaning that we're trying to work mostly with offices, large offices, so that we can make the behavior more social, more observable, and then create this social influence leverage that we've been sharing a little bit earlier. So essentially, in this particular project, what we try to build is the very first behavior data collection system in Vietnam, because we're in an open world. We're going to work on these two areas where, you know, coffee shops are just on street corners. So we need to build this in order to know if we're having an impact. And by doing so, what we hope to be able to do is to show that the combination of intervention of this emotional appeal, social influence, and material incentive is actually working in pushing the needle and getting more people into reuse. Not only this, but we also hope to validate the business case. We are a for-profit organization, so we hope to validate the fact that there can be business around behavior change, and that it can be applied to other behaviors, and therefore, you know, spun a lot of other entrepreneurial ideas that will help break the plastic habit. And eventually, getting all of this data on people reusing, when you go up, I will get the information on what kind of incentive has worked and what kind of incentive doesn't. So mostly focusing on the material incentive aspect, we'll know if people what works, and therefore we're going to be able to advise our partners on what is the kind of reward they should be giving people in order for them to start bringing their bottles to their coffee.
Thank you. Thank you so much. All of you, can have a round of applause for all our project partners from phase 1 and newly joined from phase 2. Thank you. Yeah, and I think now we can give the floor to the panel discussion. Yeah. Yeah. So in the meantime, if you have any questions to our current project partners here, or maybe if you have any questions amongst yourselves. Was there anything? Oh, yes, please.
How do you have this model? Sorry. Yeah, I'm Rizka from GIZ Indonesia. I want to know how is the model or the system that you are going to have this reuse with the modular tumbler? It's like how are you gonna do it with the community? Is it a closed loop community, or the tumbler, basically people just buy the tumbler and then just go to the coffee shops, your partner's coffee shop? Is it like that, or also even the coffee shops can offer the tumblers and then people can give back? So basically not buying the tumbler, but just buying the coffee, but the tumbler is actually belonging to the coffee shops. So I'm just asking, how is the reuse system that you're going to do for the second phase? I'm sorry if I hope it's confusing.
No, it's a very fair question. And I think to this, so I think one of the things that is important to understand is like our concept is built on another company before that we used to work with that was doing something very similar to what Econox has shared, which it was like rental cups. And one of the key learnings from this experiment was that in Vietnam, it was maybe possible to do it within a closed environment, but not in an open world, because the logistics of it were just insane and they were way too costly for the business model they can develop around it. Making sure that every places, for instance, that we work with is stocked with the right amount of tumblers for the right amount of consumers, that we take care of the cleaning and everything, was going to create like a little bit of an issue. Within so the other element and insight that we are working on is we realize that ownership is still a very strong need or at least desire from Vietnamese consumers, and it's what enables us to work with this whole customization aspect. So if we were doing kind of the one situation that we could be working on that is, you know, using the system you suggested, is if we really have this close community system where, let's say, I have your tumbler staying at the coffee next to your office, and basically, you know, when you come in, you can just pick it up with your order or even get it shipped. But at the moment, this is not something that we are doing. We'll consider it, because actually some of the partners we have are interested in doing such solutions, especially the ones with the coffee shop that are inside office buildings, because they can work with the office, you know, the people who are there. But yeah, like, it's a very specific case. It's not there yet.
Well, thank you so much. Let's talk about this after, because now we have to give the floor to our panel discussion. But thank you so much. And again, a round of applause for our project partners.
Yes, I would like to apologize to the participants online and offline for the technical difficulty we faced earlier, but we are back on track. We're a little bit behind the time, but please do stick around. We have a very exciting panel discussion and Q&A, and I would like to invite Mr. Dwayne Appleby to be the moderator of this session. And please, the 4 experts, 3 on site and 1 online, to be with us in front of the room.
Yes, thank you, Ayako. Please, Xiang, Leah, Riska, who we just heard from, she was so good with her question. We need her on the panel.
My question.
Yes. All right, so yes, of course, welcome to everyone, and thank you for bearing with us for the technical issues. It wouldn't be 2024 without technical issues. We're looking forward to having a good discussion today about behavior change here with our experts. We have 1 additional expert joining us from online. This is Ibu Lukmi Purwadari from the ASEAN Working Group on Environmental Education. Here on the panel, Rizka just introduced herself, from Rizka Hassan from GIZ, Indonesia. And then we have Xiang Li from the Rare Center for Behavior and Environment. And we have Maria Brida Lea Diola from the University of Philippine Diliman, also from the Faculty of Civil Engineering. Our returning partner, our returning champion from phase 1. So just to give you a quick overview of how this will run, each of the partners will have a few minutes to kind of give you an introduction of themselves, their expertise, the work that they've been doing in their different fields of work. And then we'll go through some questions. I have some, important issues to raise with each of them. I hope that you'll all feel welcome to intervene and ask each other a couple questions. And then once we go through that, we will open the floor for questions and answers. So for online participants, please make use of the chat box, the question and answer box. We'll have people monitoring that and feeding me some of your questions, so we make sure that we get to them. And of course, we're aware of the time, and we'll try and keep things as succinct as possible without sacrificing the quality of the discussion. So perhaps I could start by asking first, do we have the slides up for the presentation? No, we do not. Alice, could I maybe ask you to just check? Here we go. Wonderful. Wonderful. So Xiang Li, maybe I could ask you to start, and maybe I'll let you control your slides, please.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. I'd like to just take a few minutes to talk about RARE. RARE is a world-leading behavior change organization in conservation. And over the past 45 minutes, RARE has successfully run about 500 behavior change campaigns all around the world in about 60 countries. And we had in early years, RARE has been working on the campaigns addressing the biodiversity conservation. And in recent year, we have been working on some issues that such as the reducing the climate emission and also climate smart agriculture and the sustainable fishery. And in Asia, WARE has project teams in China, in Philippines, and also Indonesia. And I myself, based in China, and also like 70 years ago, I first joined WARE. And the first visit from my WARE education is to visit our team in Indonesia. So that is really, I enjoy working with our team in the Asia. And on average, WARE has behavior campaign has achieved behavior adoption by 18 percentage point. So if you are familiar with public health, this is a pretty significant increase compared to some famous public health campaign like quit smoking or drive safely. And in 2017, WARE has established a Center for Behavior and Environment to mostly support WARE and external partner to build behavior science into their work. So that's what we're trying to enabling our partner to use our methodology called behavior-centered design into supporting their work. So I'm going to give you an example of the recent project we have been doing in China, and it's called Pride on Our Place, because this project brought us to be connected with edges and area. So it's really a great opportunity. And this project is focusing on supporting the restaurant business in China to reduce food waste. And this project is funded by Youth Switch Asia, and we're together implementing this project with our partner in China, including One Planet Foundation and WWF China. And over the past 4 years, we have been really spend a lot of time emphasize in the restaurant staff to understand what's their motivation and the barriers in their daily work to reduce food waste. And we develop a lot of prototyping and a set of toolbox for the restaurant staff to adopt in their daily life to reduce food waste. And we successfully trained about 350 restaurant staff in 6 cities. And among those restaurants, we also partner with 50 restaurants across China to run a pilot. We're doing the pilot phase that we are helping those restaurants to establish a baseline for monitoring their kitchen waste and helping them to select that intervention that fit for their own practice and monitoring their waste reduction. And the target of the pilot is to supporting them to reduce the food waste by 10%. And over the data we have so far, and our pilot restaurant has exceeded this target. And on average, our pilot restaurant has achieved the food waste reduction by 24%. So this project has been achieved a lot of learnings, and now we're ready to scale these solutions in a wider range. So for those of you, if you wanted to look, there's another. So if you wanted to learn more about WARE's project, and also we encourage you to log on our website called behavior.ware.org. There are a lot of case studies and a toolbox. Yeah, so that's for my.
Awesome. Thank you, Xiang. And thank you for reminding me that we did meet through Pride on Our Plate. It's a fantastic initiative working on, food waste, important issue for the entire region. So now maybe I can ask Rizka Hassan to give us an introduction to your work. I think yours is the next set of slides, if we can bring those up.
Okay. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. Thank you for the invitation to adjacent area. For me to represent GIZ Indonesia and ASEAN, specifically on the project of Terraformar. It's an ASEAN-German project. On the title itself, it's called Terraformar, but in long is reduce, reuse, recycle to protect marine environment and coral reefs. It's quite long, so we always call it like 3R. But basically, the project itself is to support ASEAN member states to improve the implementation capacities for the governments, to reduce land-based waste leakage, of course, to protect marine environment. And what I would like to highlight is that the approach taken by the project is integrated solution. So we would like to tackle this issue across the plastic waste value chain with the interdisciplinary. This is also mentioned by Madam Director General earlier. So it's really important to have this interdisciplinary and holistic manner to address this issue because, as you know, also this is like a transboundary issue for ASEAN as a region. The project is designed to support the implementation of ASEAN Regional Action Plan on combating marine debris. So specifically on the topic of behavioral change is on Action 11. So there's one action specific on behavioral change communication playbook. And the project is actually like a geographical based. We work with the 4 countries, namely Cambodia, Vietnam, because it is in the Mekong River, at the Mekong River system, and also in the marine archipelagos, namely Indonesia and the Philippines. We work from July 2020 until next year, 2025. So I would like to highlight again, I mentioned a little bit about the integrated approach because we work not only, even though this is an ASEAN project, but we work not only on the regional level, but we work also with the national government and specifically, of course, with the local governments, because that's where we have our pilot implementation. But I would like to highlight first from the regional level, we have these 2 products that we have developed so far. In regards to the behavioral change communication playbook from the ASEAN Regional Action Plan. So first is the regional stock-taking analysis. So this is where we trying to identify around 70 campaigns in the ASEAN region using the behavioral change lever created by RER. So from those 70 campaign, we try to dig deeper a little bit on the 20 campaigns that are there in the ASEAN region. And one of the key takeaways, I think, because I'm an M&E specialist, and one of the findings is that usually the behavioral change campaign implemented, I think maybe not only in the ASEAN region, is we forgot always to measure the impact, trying to evaluate also the impact. I think I see all the behavioral scientists, they're not their head because sometimes the campaigns stops only on the activity, on the awareness raising, but then we forgot to measure it. We forgot to evaluate the end. So we don't know at the end if the impact is actually validated or can be scaling up for the next phase. So that's why it's interesting that we have this stock-taking analysis. And then from there, we work also on the toolbox methodology because we would like to differ a little bit from the playbook itself. And this is still a limited, publicly limitedly publicized because we only publicize it first with the ASEAN member states now. Why we do that? Because we would want to have this testing first on this toolbox with the national governments, the national focal points of ASEAN working group. So the project worked with the 3 working groups, ASEAN working groups of coastal marine environment, environmentally sustainable cities, chemical and waste, and also with environmental education. I'm happy today there is the chair here, Mr. Rosbandos, from the ASEAN working group of environmental education. So because also we work in Cambodia a lot with the youth. We have like a 2-year program on the 3R Youth Ambassadors. This is also like to support the MOE there. And on the pilot level, we work in Krache province in Cambodia. We developed this behavior change communication strategy with our partner there, the Asia Foundation. On the national level, like I said, we would like to test that behavioral change toolbox that we have. So thankfully, we had that time to conduct the training on design implementation, BC campaign for national and also subnational governments. For Indonesia, we work also mostly on pilots. I would like just to highlight the 2. The first one is in Manado City in North Sulawesi. We develop a community behavior and plastic action strategy. The second one is the second pilot, which is we work on the reuse and refill product, because that's why I asked the question about the reuse, because we work on the island to reduce the sachet packaging. As you know, the island, and it's also like a touristy island. So so many tourists, they just want to have a convenient, they just buying sachet. So that's why we try to have the pilot to shift the island community behavior using a reuse product. So they buy the packaging and then they give back the packaging. So far, that's what we are piloting, and also a refill product. But this is still also a negotiation, because yeah, the standardized in the country is still not yet there for the refill products. I have also for the Philippines, we have one activity also with the academia community with the Guimaras State University. We have a project called Save Me Project. So it's a student-led community based. The second is also Sa Plastic Anata. We have Filipinos here. I'm sorry. I hope that I don't pronounce it wrong. So it's translated as a blue bag campaign. So it's we work with the household plastic collection in the Guimaras, also with the provincial government. And last but not least, so we work also in Vietnam, even though the topic of behavioral change is not taken up a lot, but we try to also educate, or maybe like try to give informations on waste segregation to schools and community, and also provided with PR items on environmental education. So those are basically what we have done so far. Again, I would like to highlight that we work on these 3 levels of governance: the regional, national, and the local level. And I think that's the approach of the project. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Riska. And I think it's very relevant that you're mentioning this kind of multi-stakeholder approach and the necessity of engaging at those different levels. And you know, being an M&E expert, as you said, everyone's kind of nodding along with you because we know that it's really important to be able to measure, so we can have some data that we can take to policymakers, so we can make the business case, as we heard earlier from one of the pilot projects. So I think that message was really well delivered. Thank you. And now I'd like to turn to Ibu Lukmi Purwadari, who is joining us online from the ASEAN Working Group on Environmental Education. Ibu Lukmi, I wonder if you could give us a quick introduction of yourself and your work with the ASEAN Working Group. We'll see, is there a technical issue? Ibu Lukmi, can you hear us? You may be muted. Okay, in case there's a technical issue, we'll jump over to Leah, if you don't mind, to going next, and then we can circle back to Ibu Lukmi if the technical issue is able to be sorted. So maybe we can jump back. I think you have a slide, so if we could jump back to the slide deck, that would be great. Thank you.
Thanks, Dwayne. So good morning, everyone. So I'm Leah Diola from the University of the Philippines, Diliman. And I first know the University of the Philippines is very happy to still be involved in this project phase 2, so that we can continue our activities related to behavior change for plastics. Let me just introduce our phase 1 project. Earlier, Norisa shared our plans for phase 2, just for the information of everyone. So last year, we implemented the pilot project for plastic-free vending in UP Diliman. So it's aligned with our roadmap to plastic-free campus. And in order to shift to no plastic, we need to provide alternatives. We need the stakeholders, consumers, vendors appreciate the alternatives to plastic packaging, and we need to make them available. So our main focus last year was about providing compostable alternatives, so that the vendors and customers can experience them and maybe debunk some misconceptions, perceptions, because some of them, they say that the alternatives are very costly, they're not good to use. So after implementing our project, we received very good feedback. The customers, they were happy about the alternatives that we provided, such as those plates made from bagas, from cornstarch, wooden spoon and fork, plastic straw made from bamboo, and plastic cups, I think. So the customers they also said that they're willing to shoulder the additional cost of shifting to those types of plastics so that we can reduce the number of plastics that our campus is generating. So aside from the compostable alternatives, one of the goals of our project last year was to also improve our waste management system in general. And that focused on waste segregation and waste collection. So we provided segregation bins at different locations so that the customers can separate their food waste, the compostable packaging materials, and the residual waste. Because, when we say that, oh, please segregate waste, we need to have a good, we need to enable conditions. We need to provide infrastructure, and the customers also need to know where their waste end up to, because if they see that the waste will also be mixed by collectors anyway, they will not put some effort in terms of segregation. So we provided information that the compostable alternatives will go to our processing facility with the Diliman Environmental Management Office. The food waste will be composted, and the residual waste will be separated and will be collected by the city for waste disposal. So at first, during the first week of our implementation, the customers struggled with our segregation scheme because they did not know where to put their compostable packaging. So we provided visual guides and actual products itself. So we placed them near the bins so that they can be guided for their waste segregation. So I think we got good results for our pilot project, and we wanted to continue that for phase 2.
Thank you, Leah. And yeah, I will say, yeah, you definitely got some good results. And I think Xiang will probably back me up in saying that, as you were implementing and you encountered those challenges that you just mentioned, part of the behavior design process is to stop and reassess and readjust, making sure that you're taking all these things into consideration. So I think it's a great example, and I would encourage people to take a look at the report that Alice mentioned in the previous section to read up a little bit more on the case from UP Diliman. So now we'll jump back to Ibu Lukmi, and I'd like to ask, Ibu Lukmi is coming to us from the ASEAN Working Group on Environmental Education, and we've heard a little bit about how environmental education is linked in to all of this work from Rotsbandos, from Rizka. So Ibu Lukmi, I wonder if I could ask you, first to start with, what's the mission of the ASEAN Working Group on Environmental Education? And secondly, what's the role of environmental education in ASEAN in helping students to think about and take action to reduce environmental challenges, like we're talking here, single-use plastic. So Ibu Lukmi, please.
Yes, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, about environmental education aims to develop students and environmentally friendly behavior competencies in facing the challenges of current and future environmental crises. One example is with pollution from the use of single-use plastic. Yeah. To develop these environmentally friendly behavior competencies, it's not enough just through knowledge and teaching. It is very necessary to have appreciation and opportunities to apply the knowledge gained through co-curricular, intracurricular, and extracurricular activities. Therefore, environmental education requires a good ecosystem and appropriate strategies to support the development of student competencies. A strategy with a combination of top-down and bottom-up models can be implemented. And good ecosystem support includes like awareness and commitment from school leaders through policies or regulation prohibiting the use of single-use plastic in the school environment. Students are required to bring tumblers and not use disposable plastic cutlery. And also availability of competent educators to provide lesson and inspiration as well as examples of environmentally friendly behavior. Educator can bring inspiration and motivator. And see availability of a team that especially manages the process of implementing environmentally friendly behavior through a structural approach, namely collaborating on the preparation of an environmental education curriculum with ASEAN, compile ASEAN version of the best practices material, then socialization it massively in collaboration with schools and related parties through a cultural approach, namely a campaign with a non-homogeneous target group and activities of varying types. The campaign was carried out simultaneously with action to care for the environment with various types of activities. Clean river trash, clean up distress, forming river care communities along river stretches, and with waste bank at school and around school and residences. The fourth, the existence of supporting learning resources and materials in accordance with the characteristic of the environmental issues being faced. This can be done by sorting waste, including sorting plastic waste, segregated plastic waste is managed by waste bank at school, waste are then reused and or recycled by plastic recycling businesses. In this case, students will be aware and understand that managing waste will make the environment clean and healthy, produce economic value, and create green jobs. The fifth, availability of adequate funding. Adequate funding can be obtained through partnership with regional heads, business actors, and parents. In Indonesia, the development of an ecosystem, the support the growth and development of competence and encourage environmentally friendly behavior has been regulated in Minister of Environment and Forestry Regulation number 52 of 2019 and number 23 of 2022 concerning movement for environmental care and culture in schools, and is supported by a guidebook on climate change education, was published in August 2024 by the Ministry of Education, Culture, and Technology Research. Thank you.
Thank you, Ibn Lakmi. And I think your point is really well taken. That a part of the role of environmental education is to move beyond just transmitting knowledge to kids and giving them the tools necessary to take action and start actually making some difference in their community. And so this reminds me of something that Xiang has mentioned in the past. So I wonder if you could elaborate on it. Just this question about how behavior-informed design can bridge that gap between knowledge transmission and taking action. And in your experience working in the Asian region, Have you seen, some unique uses of this or some unique patterns? I wonder if you could give us some reflections.
Sure. I think to answer your question, I wanted to begin by ask a question to you or panelists and other participants. So my question is, do you know how many decisions one person makes every day? You can just give me a wild guess. 20?
Yeah, 10,000. Yeah.
10,000.
This is a good one.
Per person, one person make every day. Yeah. Anybody else from the audience?
I feel like we're adding to our decisions now.
60. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, have a very big difference, and from 20 to 60 to 10,000. So the correct answer is 35,000. 35,000.
35,000.
Yeah. So I think the reason why people say 20, 60, because those are the decisions that making by our brain in the irrational system. So we know that this decision we make on purpose, but actually there are another 34,000 decisions our body or our brain made we didn't even know. So that's why it is very important to incorporate behavior science, because behavior science is really a science to study why this strange thing happened, why there are so many decisions we made we didn't even know, and how we can tackle this for the benefit of the environment. And so that's what RARE has been doing. And in terms of the Asia region, and myself really appreciate that in Asia, we have unique ecosystem and also the diversified cultural heritage, and also with emphasis on the collectivism. And I think this is something we can leverage from behavior perspective to inspire people to do the behavior, what we call cooperative behavior. So what cooperative behavior means that people will pay the cost for the benefit of the group, such as, fishing in a common sea, and also the waste segregation, because we need a group of people to act together. And in Asia, we have a lot of successful example, like RARE has this fishery project called Fish Forever, and to work with the coastal fisheries to sustainable manage their marine protected area. And also in China and many other Asian countries, the waste segregation, there are a lot of successful story. So I think for this kind of behavior, and they have much better chance to get success in Asian country if we can leverage those culture and the social factor properly.
Thank you. And Riska, what do you think about what you just heard? Like, given your recent experience, you talked to us a little bit about this regional scan of some efforts, and you helped to create this toolbox. Have you observed similar things? What's come out of your examination?
Yeah, from our experience in developing this behavioral change toolbox, first of all, of course, the stock taking really gave us a base on how we should develop this behavioral change toolbox. But also, I like what Xiang has mentioned, that this region, ASEAN in general, Asia in general, but also ASEAN is actually very diverse. So that is something that where the topic of behavioral change is what I observe is we can work in the local implementation. We could work in the local community, but we always need also to think how to scale it up, how to work with the government. One key points also that in the behavioral change level, there's this rules and regulations, which is like the traditional levels. Sometimes it is also forgotten, because when we work with the community, it is easier to just work with the community because they are open. For example, they know they have the problem. They know they have this plastic crisis, for example. So they want to. They're easy to cooperate with.
But how we can make it sustainable, we need like regulations to do that. And how we can have that kind of supporting regulations, we need to incorporate governments, the local governments, and then eventually, of course, in the scale higher level is the national governments, which is why we work with the national focal points of working groups, MOE in Cambodia, MOEF in Indonesia, and other countries. And then that's why also we would like to try to have this disseminated, this toolbox disseminated to the national focal points in the national level first. So that way, when the national level have this idea or have this knowledge on how to develop the toolbox, it is easier for them to also trying to disseminate it in the local level. Because like I try to give this example for Indonesia, for example, we have this different governments level, Indonesia in the national level, but also we have these decentralized governments, where is the decentralized government like provincial and also the municipal government, they are independent. So they're independent to manage their budget, they're independent to manage the regulations, but the umbrella regulations needs to come from the national government. So that's why I try to highlight the 3 levels of governments that we work with that is important. And then at the end of the day, because this is an ASEAN project, we need to share the knowledge, because ASEAN is not only the 4 countries where the project has been working on, but ASEAN is 11 now, the 10 countries now, 11 with the Timor-Leste. So we want to have this knowledge to be spread out as and also even replicated in the other countries. So yeah, I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's a good reminder that it's all of our roles to help spread this type of information and to carry the conversation forward. And I think your point about kind of seeing the structural differences at different levels of government or different types of stakeholders is a very good one. And I wonder, Leah, if I could ask you, you know, you were working within the context of a university and administration embedded in a community. What did you notice anything, you know, about working in that structure that made it, you know, easier or more challenging to take some action, to implement behavior change? You know, was the university administration challenging? Was the business community challenging?
Okay. So from our first project, pilot project, we learned that collaboration, partnerships, dialogues, they are very crucial, you know, especially if since we're working with vendors and customers, and there are a lot of actors involved in our project. Actually, when we finished the project, we shared the results with our university administrators, and they were happy with that, and they wanted to support the phase 2 so that we can have more impacts. Also, our local government unit, the Quezon City government, they also reached out to us, and they wanted to learn from our experience so that they can also apply what we did in communities in our city. So applying behavioral insights, it's really challenging. No, but I think if stakeholders are involved and we share the same goals, we can implement specific actions to achieve specific results. And little by little, we can reach our main goal to break the plastic habit.
Yeah, I think if I can paraphrase, you know, change takes some time. We shouldn't expect to, you know, to implement a project and the next day everything is magically different. We need to be persistent and we need to keep working on it. So I wonder, Riska, if I could jump back to you to talk about, you mentioned a project in Manado City, was it? Yes, and I wonder, it's an ongoing project, iterative. I wonder if you can tell us a bit more about that, the experience there.
Yeah. Thank you. I mentioned this about one of the products that we have developed for the local government. It's called Compact the Community Behavioral Change Plastic Strategy. Why we call it like community and there is also plastic? Because we try to also merge this approach on the regulations, but also not to forget the community, which are the beneficiaries from the regulations, and also even they're the beneficiaries of the change, for example. So we have this two different approach, like the community-based approach and also the human-centered approach. So when we try to develop this strategy, we also we have this baseline, this assessment, try to check what is the behavior of the households, behavior of the community in the city, and then from there we also include the community to have this participatory discussion, like assessment with them, like how can we make the change together. So it's like to build like a sense of ownership also for the community. And then the second I mentioned about the plastic point is because from there, from this solution from the community, we bring this up to the local government and to help the local government to revamp, basically saying, because the government has already the solid waste management plan. So in Indonesia, each city must have this solid waste management plan. So we try to help the city to revamp their solid waste management plan from there. So it's basically going from the community level and also from the regulation level. So that's two sides. It is just established, the strategy. So hopefully next year we can share with you the results of this implementation, and yeah, to see how is is it successful? Is it measurable? Is it scale up for the next phase also for the project? Yeah.
Wonderful, thank you. We'll look forward to that update. And I wonder, just as a reminder, we will have a question and answer in just a couple minutes. I'll have one final question for Xiang now, but put your questions in on the online form or be prepared here. We'll bring around a microphone. So Xiang, I just wanted to say we've been talking about working at these different scales and engaging with different partners, including government. And so I know that RARE has been working on a new project to develop what's called a climate culture index, I think, to identify maybe some high impact behavior changes for really good impact on climate. I wonder if you could tell us a little bit about that.
Sure, happy to. So to promote more climate-friendly behavior is one of RARE's new initiative. But as we all know, the individual, there are dozens or even hundreds of behavior that everybody can do in their daily life. From behavior science perspective, if you ask everybody to do anything, what's gonna happen is they probably don't do anything. And what is more, it is made it very hard for to monitor those changes, and so we cannot make meaningful impact. So what RARE has been doing is to identifying most high impact and most feasible behaviors in one country or in one region. So give very specific list to the public, to the government, to guide their behaviors. And the RARE can also develop the behavior intervention pathway to inspire those adoption of these high impact behaviors. So for example, in the US, RARE has identified 7 high impact behaviors. And I can tell you food waste is one of them. But each region has different factors, so the list might be different. And also, what we wanted to conduct a research on a yearly basis to monitor not only the adoption of those behavior, but also the psychosocial enabler of those behavior. So this can tell people the trend of what people's mindset, and we can predict the future adoption of those behavior. So we call this climate culture index. And so far we had, RARE has published the climate culture index for the US citizens in 2021, 2023, and 2024. So there are a lot of interesting insights we can draw from the comparison of the yearly based data. So I think this is approach that really gonna benefit regional level or country level to better guide their climate strategies in a higher level. So we wanted to conduct this kind of similar thing in China, in ASEAN, and also in Europe. So we're also seeking for mission-aligned partners to join us on this effort. Yeah.
Thank you. That sounds like an amazing project, and I think yeah, policymakers would very much be interested in seeing those areas where efforts can be targeted most effectively for their nudges. So thank you. We'll turn now to the question and answer. And we have one from online that I'll start with, and then we'll pass around the microphone here. So online, we've got like in Indonesia, Mr. Anik found that SMEs has high positive influence in waste production. So how to shift SME behavior from using single-use plastic to sustainable packaging? You know, we know that in many cases, sustainable packaging is more expensive. So how do we engage with them, with small and medium enterprises to start taking some action? Anyone on the panel want to start us out?
Start. Okay. That's actually a good question because also relevant to our project. So we, to introduce a little bit again, one of the initiatives we work in Yogyakarta, another city in Indonesia, where there is, if you know, Borobudur, it's like one of the biggest temple. I don't know, maybe in the world, perhaps. So in there, it's like a one site heritage, one heritage site, and in there, there are many SMEs also, the vendors, stalls. So we are now working with them, trying to help them to find a sustainable packaging for foods, for example, and then also drinks because the high amount of the tourists there. And how we try to do that is specifically because first there is like this one company as an umbrella company for these SMEs on this area. So I think that would be also a solution, or maybe not a solution, like an approach, trying to find like the umbrella company who can work with us with our project, or maybe whatever initiative that we want to work with. And then they can help us to replicate this, or maybe work with the smaller SMEs, because that's where they have the resource, and then they can push more with the local governments. One with the local governments, and of course they're with the group of SMEs. That's the second point. I tried to also highlight the startups. We shall not forget about the startups. I mean, we see startups here already. They are like the innovators of this, giving us the solution. So I think if we can also try to, we as in, because we work on this topic, we try to find the resource, and how we can find the resources through the startups. They have the resource of the brains, and also even like the access for fundings even. So as a project's implementer, for example, we can help them, these startups also to connect with the SMEs. So I think these are the two approach that could be taken up for this solution on SMEs.
Thank you. And Leah, I wonder if you have some reflections from the experience of vendors at UPD. You know, what were their views about the price of alternatives, the availability, and you know, have you identified any potential pathways?
Yes, I actually remember this question also came up last year.
Yes,
we are really concerned about
challenge.
the cost of sustainable packaging materials. And I agree with Rizka, no, that the startups can also assist on this. And our vendors in the campus, they are actually hesitant in using compostable alternatives, because first they need higher investment capital, because they need to buy a much expensive material. So what we did was we provided them, and then so that they can get to experience using those materials. So for me, I think to really foster or expand this habit, the government should assist on supporting the development of local materials. Like in the Philippines, most of our sustainable packaging, they're imported from China, right? So they're more costly. So if we can expand the market, and I think the cost will be lowered. And also, we can also realize that customers are willing to shoulder the additional cost at a certain amount, right? So maybe we can collaborate with the SMEs so that we can also know their perceptions, hesitations, and we can promote this sustainable package.
Thank you. And any questions here in the room as well, please raise your hand and we'll come around to you. And just I wanted to see if Xiang, if you had any reflection on that in your experience working with the business sector. Maybe it's on, food waste or things, but, a shift in behavior often comes with a perception, maybe a reality that the costs will be higher, maybe in price or maybe in time or effort. Do you have any reflections on successful strategies or ways to engage with the topic?
Sure. I think this question come up very often whenever is a behavior intervention. And the first thing come to people's question is they were concerned, the concern is the price. And the assumption is if there is no increase of the cost, people will adopt those behavior. But that is only the rational side of our brain thinking, but there are irrational side of our brain, and sometimes we find people do a lot of irrational thing and think about the impulsive shopping on crazy discount. So you don't actually need that, but you spend money and you just throw it in your corner, but you never use that. Why people do it without thinking? So even though I think there is no such extra cost, I think it doesn't necessarily mean that the vendors or SME will just adopt that. So, but has this cost, if we can have a different way to position that is opportunity for you to contribute this to an issue. So if we frame that in a positive way, so I think they will generate more sense of pride or emotion, benefit, so people will just ignore those economic. So I think that's just a tendency for project designer, always exaggerate the influence of the material incentive. Yeah, so that's something I wanted to point out.
That's a really, really interesting insight. I think it's counterintuitive to think, we do always hear that price is the primary consideration. I see a question out here. Let me just run out with the microphone. Bella-san.
So it's very inspirational to hear from everyone here. As an Indonesian, I would like to address my question to Ibu Lukmi. So I know that the center in which you work on have a project about the environmental care and culture movement in schools, or gerakan peduli lingkungan, peduli dan berbudaya lingkungan hidup. Can you tell us more about it and how you use this tool to empower students to care more about the environment, and how we can, as non-students, use that also outside the school environment? Thank you.
Yes, I will tell you an example of good practice in Indonesia, namely the PBLHK, or the Environmental Care and Culture Movement in Schools. This movement is a conscious, voluntary, entire, and sustainable collective action carried out by schools in implementing environmentally friendly behavior. The government encourages environmental care and culture movement in schools, starting from elementary school, middle schools, and high schools. Support for this movement can involve the government and other parties such as the business world, non-governmental organization, education and environmental practitioners, as well as education quality assurance institutions. Government support for this movement takes the form of coaching, giving awards, as well as monitoring and evaluating changes in behavior and changes in the physical condition of the school environment. The Adiwiyata School Award is an award from the government given to schools that have implemented environmental care and culture movement in schools. The awards are divided into 3 levels, namely central, provincial, and city government levels. Apart from that, the central government also gives awards to regional heads who have succeeded in supporting the implementation of the environmental care and culture movement in school through policies, through regulations, budget support, program and activity support, as well as monitoring and evaluation. The policy of the environmental care and culture movement in school is based on the Minister of Environment and Forestry Regulation number 23 of 2022 and the Minister of Environment and Forestry Regulation number 52 of 2019 concerning the environmental care and culture movement in schools, as well as the Minister of Environment and Forestry Regulation number 53 of 2019 concerning Adiwiyata School Awards. Implementation of the environmental care and culture movement in school includes 5 activities, namely the first, learning in subject, extracurriculars, and getting used to environmentally friendly behavior at school. And the second, implementing environmentally friendly behavior in the community around the school. And third, homework and communication network. And fourth, campaigns and publication on environmental behavior and culture movement in school. And then more forming and empowering Adiwiyata cadres. Learning environmentally friendly behavior in subjects, extracurriculars, and getting used to it in daily activities, including 6 aspects, namely 1, atau first, the clean sanitation and drainage, and second, waste management, including reduce, reuse, recycle of waste, and third, planting and maintaining trees, the fourth, water conservation, and next, energy conservation, and innovation in implementing environmentally friendly behavior. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very, very much, Ibu Lukmi. I think this is a very interesting example of a behavior change project that's, it's using a lot of the different levers in a very public way at a large scale across the country and has been running for a number of years. So thank you for telling us a little bit about it. And I encourage the locals here in Indonesia to watch for it every year. It's quite an exciting project. So we have one last question from online before we break. And the question is, how do we look at a country like India with a large housing sector, many people, how do we address a plastic challenge, a behavior challenge around plastic in a country like that, densely populated, rapidly growing? I mean, this is familiar to many ASEAN countries as well. Do you have any reflections on how we might approach that?
Yeah, I can start. Yeah, I think well, India is still the more densely populated than Indonesia, but I think also Indonesia is just underneath the second after that. But how to answer that? Obviously, it's complicated, but we don't want to say it's just complicated, but we need to have the solution. What I think could be a solution, and that is also something that we try to implement in our pilots in Manado City, is to have a champion. I think you also try to do that in your project. Have a champion. However, the topic is about, like, for example, religion champion, or maybe the champion of I don't know, like even in Manado, we work also with the group leader, the leader of the environmental sector groups, for example, like the waste pickers. We try also to work with them. And she has more voices for the community, the community living near the landfill. So the people actually hear more to her, because she has been working as a waste speakers for more than 20 years. So she's well known there. Basically, like I said, like the local champion. So in terms of working with the diverse community, densely populated, very large community, we always need to try to find someone that can, or not only someone, but like a big group, or maybe this key person who can be like the leader to send the message, share the message, and also influence the community. And then from there, when the community is already starting to shift the behavior, they can start also not only within their households, but even their neighbors. So yeah, I think that's where we need to see first how is our message can be heard first. So, and from there we can work with the like how many, even is it dense, is it not dense, but how we can make the messages heard first. I think that's what we need to figure out. Yeah.
Xiang, I wonder if to refine the question a little bit, I wonder if I could ask you to kind of make reference to the behavioral levers, and thinking about, in many of these countries, there's rapid growth and rapid growth in consumption as well. So this taps into people's aspirations for the type of life they want to lead, the future that they envision for themselves. So I wonder, how can we as practitioners develop messaging or campaigns, products or policies that really address this and start to, if not move things right away, start the conversation?
Yeah, I think that's a very common issue that we see, that emerging trend in many countries. I would say that from my point of view, there is no common solution for this issue. But what we really would encourage you to do is really to forget about who you are and have a standing in the shoes of the people you try to change. Because very often I find a lot of environmentalists or the project, they really wanted to make a difference. They wanted to change the people, change the world. But the first advice I would give to them is, if you wanted to change people, you really wanted to begin with change yourself first. So what I mean by change yourself, because very often we as an outsider or as a project, an organization, we try to interpret your target audience in the way that with your own experience and with your own assumption. So if you really want to have the effective solution, you really need to be a really blank page and really have a deep empathy of your target audience. So that is my first advice.
Thank you. And I think that's a wonderful way to end. We started earlier today, somebody mentioning the importance of empathizing. And I think Xiang just mentioned again that this is a really important factor for us in this work, is to really try and understand the people that we're working with, the communities, the families, the business owners, and of course the government workers. Government is made of people too. So thank you to our panel. especially Ibu Lakmi. Thank you. I know it's a busy day for you, so thank you for taking the time. We really appreciate you being here. So please, can we have a round of applause for our panel? Thank you, and I'll turn things over to Ayako now.
Thank you, everyone. Yes, thank you for the four experts. And I think maybe some of you attending in person could not have asked your questions. So we have the coffee session right now. So, if there's any question you wanted to ask, pick the person, pick the expert, the project, ask away any questions. Otherwise, I think throughout today's event, some of the key takeaways or theme that I picked up, although not exhaustive, is how to make behavioral change sustainable, to make it long-term. What are the key measures that we have to include? How can we measure the success of the project so that we can have a data-driven scale-up later on? And maybe also lesson learned and outcomes. How can we sort of share back with a wider community later on? And maybe to answer on that last note, we hope that next year around this time, we will be able to report back on the outcome of the 6 projects. Yes, the pressure is on you. And report back on the outcome, the success, maybe some of the challenges that we experienced. So with that, I would like to thank the 6 partners who came all the way to Jakarta for this event, our 4 experts for their insight and sharing the knowledge with us, for Raya Institute for the training session, for the government of Indonesia of honoring our event with their presence, and for the IGES team for implementing this project. So thank you very much again. See you next time. Thank you to Ariel for hosting. Oh.